Ladies and gentlemen, I was going to do one video today about the latest insane claims from the Welsh Labour Party. Namely, this one. The paths of black history and Welsh history are indivisible. I can't, to quote the millennial ladies, I can't even get through it without creasing up laughing. Let's try again. The paths of black history and Welsh history are indivisible. There is no history of Wales without the history of black experiences in Wales. And there's a nice picture of Bob Marley's hat on a nice black Welsh field. Bob Marley dropped his hat down a coal mine and had they've used that for the imagery. I was going to just talk about that, but it's been such a good 24 hours in unending commie race baiting. There's a couple of other stories we can talk about, like this one. Hartlepool MP Jill Mortimer has caused uproar in her constituency after claiming that her office had been besieged by migrants. Mortimer's office manager revealed that they often see up to 20 young men at their door every day. They knock on the windows, ring the bell, kick the door, and they force their way in. Hey, you have to pity these poor young men. They've been uprooted from their beautiful homes in war-torn Somalia and dropped off in Hartlepool. Hartlepool. It's enough to drive a bootneck to tears. 10 minutes walking down Hartlepool High Street and they will be begging to go back. Okay, so there's a couple of good stories, and it's good to get into, reality, because it's a controversial thing these days, reality. Actual historical facts. Controversial, I know. Hopefully I can get through this video without YouTube sending jackbooted thugs to kick my door off its hinges, bend me over the bar, and roger me with a lampshade in the names of diversity and tolerance. First things first, let's get to the first. Insane, deranged claims from the historically illiterate 1984 should be a documentary. Demolition Man is definitely a work of fiction we should make a reality. Labour Party in Wales. Obviously, let's tackle the imaging first. What has that got to do with Wales? I think of green fields, dragons, sheep, loads of sheep. Occasionally a farmer tucking one's back legs into his wellies, bending it over a partially fallen stone wall and having his wicked way with it. But what else reminds me of Wales? A field of black with some Rastafarian colours on? Not really. Not really. Let's just have a look at the community notes that were left under there, because so many people in the community, i.e. normies, probably pointed out that everything about this post was an abject fiction. Only 0.8% of Wales is black according to the 2021 census. That's just 28,000 out of 3.1 million people. The Welsh are a Northern European ethnic group who inhabited Wales for over 5,000 years. I'm just throwing this out there, right? If they're 0.8% of the population in 2021, what percentage do you think there were in 1981 or 1961 or 1941? Answers on a postcard. Anybody who doubts you, I've told you this, when they're trying to gaslight you and convince you that you're crazy because you inhabit the real world, any social justice activist who's having a pop at you, all you have to do is just hold your hand up and say, "Here, mate, go and ask your grandparents to show you the school photographs." It's all you have to do. Because I'm not even that old. I'm only in my 40s. And my high school photograph is as white as a bowl of rice. From like 1992. I think there was one black kid joined my school in about 4th year. Came over from Nigeria or something. His dad was like a doctor, back in the good old days when we imported, medical professionals rather than illiterate goat herders with hissing backpacks. The good old days. So that isn't an argument you can lose. You just say, get your granddad's school photo, scan it in, send me it. Let's see who wins this argument. Because you're practicing fiction. Orwell saw it all coming. That's why he's so respected and revered. He knew what was going to happen. An endless present. The history books are all destroyed and they are making up nonsense. The central claim is a fiction. The amount of people from outside Wales before about 1999 was statistically irrelevant. There was probably more dragons in Wales in 1940 than there was blokes from sub-Saharan Africa. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with these people. It doesn't mean they can't make a valued contribution now, and it doesn't mean someone who was born and raised there should be sent away. I've always argued with the militant nationalists about this. It's inherently unfair to be that aggressive with your immigration policy, because it'd be like me being born and raised in Middlesbrough and then finding out at the age of 30, oh, by the way, you were actually born in Mexico, and then sending me to Mexico. And then I'm walking around the streets of Mexico City, can't speak a word of Spanish, wearing me borough top, going, what's going on here, like, lads? It's ludicrous. So I'm not saying these people aren't valued and there's anything wrong with them being there if they went there legally decades ago, but there's no need to lie about it. If I have kids living out here in California, there's no need to lie about it. I won't bring them up and say, oh yeah, you've always been here, and I've always been here, and my granddad was born here. Because they weren't. It's fine. The world's big enough for us all. I'm sure Europeans living in Japan, another ethnically homogenous country, don't feel the need to lie about it. I spent a lot of time in Japan, went out with a few Japanese birds. If I stayed over there and had a couple of kids, we wouldn't need to tell them, we've always been here. Yeah. Not only have we always been here, I'm more Japanese than the Emperor of Japan. Yeah, I am. And if you disagree with me, because I'm a pasty blue-eyed love machine, you're a bigot. Yeah, suck on it. Suck on my 10-inch veiny labia. It's preposterous. I don't see why it's controversial to point out that the world's gone insane. But anyway, let's move on to the other one that made me laugh.
The team showed us footage supporting claims that migrants regularly gather outside their offices, often in groups. The MP's office manager told us about her experience.
I will get a crowd of 2 or 3. I've had up to 20 young men at the door. They press on the bell. When they don't get an answer on the bell, they knock on the windows. Then they kick the door. Then they press the bell again. Then they ring the phone. When I first started, I did used to open the door and let people in and speak to them, because obviously we're here to help. But then it was, I'd go to the door and they'd push past and just walk straight in. And I've got to look after the staff in here. I can't have 5 or 6 young men storming into the office.
You can't have 5 or 6 young men storming into the office? Sounds a bit bigoted to me. You let them young men in. And if one of them wants to drop their trousers in the middle of the kitchen and snap off a foot of brown cable next to the fridge because he feels like it, you let him. If they want to dismantle the kitchen, dig a fire pit in the front garden and roast a goat for the good of diversity, you let them. If they tell you you should wear a wicker sack over your head and walk down the beach looking like a ninja, then you do it for the good of diversity. And if one of them accidentally parts your whiskers with 3 fingers on the way to the men's room, well then you just suck it up, love, for the good of diversity. Don't make me send Naz Shah round there to give you a good talking to.
I generally don't feel intimidated, but if you get a gentleman to the door and I'm going to get their documents and they push past me and push that door to get in, then yes, that's intimidating. It's not a nice feeling. I do have younger staff members in the other office. We've got no protection once they're in here.
Joking aside, it does make me proud of these rough and tumble northern women, because my nana was like that, hard as nails. You know, all the birds nowadays go on about being tough feminists, but they're all wimps. My nana tackled like a convicted murderer in Quick Save once. I've told that story before. She just told him, well, essentially swore at him, called him scum in the middle of the frozen food section. They're not easy to intimidate, and credit to her for standing her ground, but when you're dealing with 20 blokes, you can't blame her for being a little bit trepidatious, can you? So that's brilliant. 2 fantastic stories of the wonder of a multicultural society. Seems to be working brilliantly to me. Just ask yourself this simple question. I'll end it here. Anyone over the age of 40, ask yourself this question. Was 1993 better or worse than 2023? Ask yourself that. Was it easier to get a doctor's appointment? Was it easier to drive somewhere? Were the streets cleaner or dirtier? Was there a sense of cohesion in society? Did people trust each other quite a lot? Were strangers polite to each other on the bus or on the tube? By every metric I can think of, it's gone completely tits up. And you can stick your fingers in your ears and lie to yourself all you like. But I'm a man, and men like to face the mirror. The wheels have come off, and it shouldn't be controversial to say so. If you're only in your 20s, go and ask your granddad for some advice and see what he has to say about this wonderful, multicultural, diversity is our strength society. See what he has to say about it and get back to me. Ask someone you trust rather than a perfect stranger who is a full-time activist that lives in Silicon Valley. Because I've got eyes and I've got ears, and I'm not impressed with all of this complete shite. All right? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you yearn for the halcyon days of yore, or do you love the society we've built, and are you filled with optimism for 2024? If the answer to that is yes, please, when you break out of your padded cell and manage to chew your way out of your straitjacket, let me know. Drop me a line. All right, thanks for watching, ladies and gents. I will do a live stream this weekend because I'm off. Saturday, Sunday. I've got a whole weekend off. I've started a Discord for the members. I will put a link in a post shortly, and we will do some interacting and drinking and chin wagging on the weekend at some point. All right, thanks for watching. See you all very soon. Toodle pip. Cheers.